To kick it off, I just wanted to ask you kind of an opening question. If you were a fan, why would you expect for them to tune in this weekend?
For a fan, that's probably the unknown. Is usually what everyone wants to watch live sports for. You got a racetrack where it's a road course. We've seen them go so many different ways. You have races that the fast cars are just the fast cars and they're up front. But you have the strategy, you have those cautions that come out in different places and a lot of different things. And honestly, after watching the Clash, there's a lot of excitement in that race. Probably going to tune in to watch another one at that track.
All right, thank you. We'll now go to questions. And to kick us off with questions, we're going to go to Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Joey. Have you gone back and watched the final lap yet?
What do you think? Of course I did.
All right. Well, I mean, I didn't want to go right into the question without making sure. So after having watched it, do you see anything that could have gone differently?
I mean, there's always going to be things that you see it, you wanted to go differently. Can't change it now, though. That's the bottom line. I look at it and see that, in my opinion, and everyone's going to have one, right? But mine is that, I'm up in the mirror, I'm watching this all develop behind me. And when the 34 and the 2 hook up, they start coming up with a run, throw a mile block. But when Brad moves to the left to pass me, that gets the 34 off center on his bumper. And these cars are very unstable when they're getting pushed. It's not like when we used to tandem when we had a pair of 400s across the back. There's not much mechanical grip in our cars anymore because of the lower ride heights. We're trying to get the spoiler out of here, all that stuff, right, to make speed. So for those reasons, when a car gets off-centered as much as McDowell was on Brad, it's going to push him around, just the same way like we saw the first crash happen. And at that point, from watching it in slow motion and trying to dissect it, I see Brad's hands turning to the left, and in the back end of his car is further left than he is. That means he's going to the right at that moment. He's spinning out. And that's why I got tagged so hard in the left rear. It spun me out so quick. So that's how I see it happen. It's quite the bummer that it happened because you're so close to winning the Great American Race. And you think, 4 laps before that, or really the 30 laps before that, you got 4 Fords behind you, being your teammate and everyone's working together and think everything's going to be fine. You're pretty stoked about the situation, kind of the best scenario you can possibly be in for the last 30 laps of that race. And then once I saw Brad lay back and shuffle the 4 out, I said, okay, this game's about to change. This isn't going the way I would expect it to. And I knew that things were going to be a little different. And that's what, kind of developed in the last few laps is cars were laying back so much, trying to form runs. I'm backing up, trying to keep everyone, tight behind me and not get so far out because everyone's going, checking up behind me, trying to form runs that you just know that there's just so much energy being built up. Everyone's going to be bumper to bumper. And you saw that all come to fruition when we went down the back straightaway and everyone opened it up. And, you saw some cars on the bottom of that top lane had 5 cars pushing each other. It's going to be a few runs coming at you that way. So that's just how it ended.
Did either of you do anything wrong? Could it have been prevented?
No, I don't think anyone did anything wrong. I mean, everyone's going to have different perspectives. And I think that's probably where we're going to be. And to me, the biggest heartbreak of this whole thing is that there's 400 people at Team Penske asking where their Daytona 500 bonus is. And it's up in a ball of flames up in turn 3 right now, right? Like that to me is probably the hardest part to deal with, because those families put just as much into it as I do, I've learned this the most when we won the championship in 2018, and I did this kind of victory tour and went to a lot of different places and met a lot of people and didn't understand how much we affected people's livelihoods. And when I realized that, it kind of changed my thought process a lot on what I do behind the wheel. And so, that's probably to me the most frustrating part, and they should be frustrated too about it. I'm angry about it. So that part is probably what stings the most, is that, we had a really good shot at having a Penske 1-2, and instead we finished 12th and 13th.
Thanks, Joey.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Joey, I know you've said you haven't talked to Brad. Is that because you kind of probably already know what he's going to say?
I think it's probably best to cool your jets a little bit before the conversation happens. I'm sure you're just listening to me on the radio a minute ago. And I think, everyone cooling off is probably going to be good. But, the analogy I used on Sirius a minute ago was it's a marriage, right? And when you're married to somebody, you have to figure it out. You're married. You don't just leave, right? You get married, it's supposed to be forever. And so when you have conflict or you have differences of opinions or whatever, you have to talk about it. You're forced to, you can't just roll it up under the rug, right? It's just not going to work. It's not healthy. People do that. It's just not healthy to do. And so it's kind of the situation here where I will be forced and he will be forced to work with me. We're still teammates. We will have to figure this out. We may not have to agree on everything, but we at least have to find a way to move forward. And that is going to be, the approach we need to do, because going back to the 400, men and women that work at Team Penske, we owe it to them to figure this out, and we will fix it, and it's fine. And then, like I said, you can look at this thing 3 different ways. There's going to be 6 different opinions on how the last few laps went, and depending on probably on what seat you're in, you would pick differently. So it's just a matter of talking it out, and there's time before Sunday's race to do that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
So you'll do it before the race on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Joey, I understand what you're saying. And I guess my question is when you talk to Brad or whenever you talk to another competitor, in one sense, what's the point? And you've described kind of what you feel like happened. And, I think there are certain facts that, that happened there that aren't going to be something to argue or debate. So what is it when you talk to Brad or whenever you talk to a competitor, and particularly Brad in this situation, that you want to hear or you want to get across, because you guys have probably both studied the tape, you both see and experienced it. So what really needs to be said at this point?
Well, it's maybe not what needs to be said. It's just what's the goal on moving forward. The goal is to move on and not say, you raced me hard, so I'm going to race you hard, and now we're beating the doors off of each other every week, and it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Right? That's the goal that you can't have. You can't seek revenge or seek, just, well, you made my life hard, so I'm gonna make your life hard, right? Like, that's childish. We're adults. We're not doing that. I'm not gonna do that for multiple reasons. For one, like I've been saying over and over again, if you do that, it's the most selfish thing you can do, because you're not just hurting yourself or hurting him, you're hurting all the people that work on that car and what they do to you, right? And they're the same people that work on my car, by the way. So it's a matter of just saying, how do we move forward? Not, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. It's okay, that's that. Start at 0, clean slate, never to bring up anything that's happened 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. If you want to talk about it, that is the time. That's the time. Talk about it. Bring it up. Be honest. Get it off your chest. If you need to get it off your chest and it makes you feel better, good. That's going to be healthy. But after that, never being brought up again. Never. It's got to start at 0. You can never go back and say, well, this year in Daytona 500 you did this, or you did this to me, 6 weeks ago over here. It's like, come on. What are we 2? Like, we're not going to do that, and that's the goal to get to, is just to move forward.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Kelly Crandall. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks, Amanda. Hi, Joey. Switching to the road course this weekend, the tire is different. The aero package is different from last year. I'm just curious of how much you think that will change the racing. I think, for instance, you look at the turn 1 braking zone last year, everybody expected that to be a problem. not as many issues, I think, as we expected. And then you look at the Clash, and it seemed like there were some wild rides off into turn one. So how much do you think the tire and the aero package will change this weekend's race from what we saw in August?
Well, for one, it's going to make it better. I think we all agree that the Clash was definitely better than the first race with the big spoilers there. The big spoilers makes it hard behind a car. And the Clash probably, there's a couple of reasons why you've seen a couple of cars, go off the racetrack. For one, a lot of them are starting on older tires, so it's really hard to judge what your grip level is on cooler old tires. So trying to figure out what that is very challenging. And two, it's the Clash, right? Like everybody's out there saying, go, right? What do you got to lose? It's the Clash. It's an all-star race. You crash. Like, oh, well, you go on to the next one. Did you learn something? That's going to be the most important thing. And I think everybody has that mentality, or at least most of the cars out there do. And that's why you saw such hard racing. You saw rotors glowing like you wouldn't believe. Those things are what makes an all-star race like the Clash really entertaining and fun, not only for the fans, but for the drivers, right? Because you just know, hey, that guy's going to send it in there, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Well, you learned where your limits are and what to do with it when you get back for this weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Woody Kane. Go ahead, Woody.
Hey, Joey, appreciate your time. I didn't want to ask you about last week or even this week. I was hoping to get you to look ahead to Homestead for us for next week. And A, what is it about that track that appeals to drivers so much? And B, do you think it'll be any different racing-wise, being at this time of year versus the end of the season?
No, I mean, we kind of raced this way this time of the year last year. Maybe not this time, but more towards the summer. So compared to being the last race of the year. But I think every driver, loves that racetrack. I do. It's fun because it's wore out. So the cars are sliding around a lot, and it's wide. You have options. You're not just stuck in one lane. You can go the very, very bottom, or like Larson does and Reddick does, and those guys that are really good at running the wall way up there, and they'll zing the top and be going for a while. So, and you can go in between wherever you want. And I think as a driver, that's appealing. It's fun. If you overcook your tires, you're going to pay the penalty. And I think that's kind of fun. Because it's a balance of aggression and patience, and managing those things. I think that makes it a good time. And restarts just become nuts because the track's so wide.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, our next question will come from Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Just curious, who really helped you hone your road course racing craft? Because you started on ovals. How does somebody like you get to the point where you're competitive whenever you get to a road course?
So a few people. Max Pappas is the first one that comes to my mind, that helped me a lot, and probably the most, and not just in road racing, but just in general. I think he's just helped me as a person a lot. So I think that's the guy that stands out the most to me. And I know he helps William a lot now too. So, but he's you guys all know Max and know how he is. So he's definitely probably the moment that has taught me the most from Max is we had a 2-seater cup car at Road Atlanta. And this is years ago when you were able to test. And I rode in the passenger seat with Max, which is hands down the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. But he brakes 3 car lengths deeper than me. And I thought I was getting all of it. And when he did that, for one, my feet were going through the floorboard on the passenger side. But it kind of was like an eye-opening thing where it's like braking is where the speed is. And then I had to get better at doing that. And that was, I don't think he said it at that moment, but he said it without saying it. And I think those are the things that, to me has helped a lot. That is his mentality, and who he is has helped me a lot.
And from your Volusia experience, how many tear-offs are you going to want at Bristol?
Well, the problem is we got a windshield, so it'll be a little different. But yeah, it was funny before the Volusia race. I was sitting there, I was talking to David Stremme and his wife, and my helmet was sitting on top of my car, and he go, "How many tear-offs you got in there?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think I got like 8 on there," and it was a 15-lap race, maybe 10-15-lap race. It wasn't long. And they were laughing. They said, "You better put more on there." I was like, "Really?" So I put another pack of 10 on there. And by the end, I only had 3 left or so. So it's like, wow, you use a lot of these things. So it'll be different in our cars at Bristol because we can't have a real tacky racetrack, a real muddy track, because we have windshields. And I cannot physically reach out there and pull my own tear off. So it's going to have to be dusty and dry.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Mark Garrow. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. Good morning, Joey. Want to move just a little ahead of Woody Kane. Our first broadcast is Las Vegas. You've won the opening race there the last 2 years in a row. And I'm just wondering, what you remember about last year's race and being on the kind of roll that you are at Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important for us to run good there. Penzo 400, man. So it's a very important one to win. The goal is to do donuts through the grass in the Penzo logo. And I've said that the last 2 years when I saw everybody before the race, and was able to accomplish that. So goal's no different. They expect it at this point now. So we got to go out there and have a good running. Vegas, by the stats, I think is my best racetrack, or at least close to it in the past. And it's been just something that I think of just even early in my career when I didn't run good anywhere. That was my first top 10 was at Vegas. So, or one of my first, I thought it was my first, maybe I'm wrong, but it's been a racetrack that I took to fairly quickly. So, that on top of, Penske bringing really good cars there. You look at what my other 2 teammates, with Brad and Blaney, have been able to do. They've been pretty fast there and capable of winning plenty. So I think you kind of put a couple good things together and you see some good results.
And how important is it for a team, and what does it do for a team to win early in the season?
It's nice. It's a confidence builder. It's nice to get that out of the way. It's nice to know you're in the playoffs. It's not like it used to be where, the rest of the races doesn't matter a whole bunch, because you're in the playoffs and you just move on. It's now every race means something. Every race you have to run hard. You have to get those points, because 1 point can be the difference of making it to the next round, is a difference of winning a championship or not. So you have to race every race so hard. So it doesn't really change your mindset after you win. It's just kind of a comforting thing. And hey, winning feels nice. It's the best part about this whole thing. So it's probably why it's just nice any time of the year. You want to win every one of them that's there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Jerry Jordan. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hey, Joe, I want to go back real quick. You said that you and Brad will talk it out, but who's mad at who here? Are you mad at him? He mad at you? Or are y'all both mad at Michael? And have you talked to Michael also?
We'll have to find out, I guess. I don't know. I'm not mad at Michael. Michael had a run and got pushed to Brad and hooked onto the back bumper of him. That happened because, Brad backed up to him. So I can't be mad at that. And honestly, I'm happy for McDowell. Guy's a grinder, man. He's been grinding his whole career. And he finally won one. And it's the biggest race ever. I'm ecstatic for him. And he should be over the moon. And yes, we've talked to each other quite a bit here the last few days, texting back and forth. And, he brought it up. He was concerned, like, did I do something wrong? Is everything okay? And yeah, man, he's going for the win. I get it. And he had 3 other cars bumper to bumper behind him because of the situation that was happening. So you can't blame him for pushing. He was going to get pushed if he didn't push. So just part of the race.
Thank you, bud.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take one final question, and that question will be Jacob Seelman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Thanks, Amanda. Joey, thank you for taking the time this morning. As far as the run that McDowell had, I mean, how tough is it as a driver to judge those runs? Because with this new package, they're coming at you so quickly, particularly in the situation at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard to judge a run. You see it all happening. If you got a good spotter and you're a good drafter and you see it in the mirror happening, you see it happen before it happens. You know it's coming. It's not like you're looking and, oh my gosh, here it comes. Like, where'd that come from, right? There's never, at least for me, there's never a moment that surprises me in a draft. It's just kind of, unless it's someone tags somebody the wrong way and starts a crash or something like that. But the runs themselves aren't surprising. And I think that's just years of experience at this point. It's having a good spotter on the roof, that's feeding you the information that you just see it all coming before it happens. Doesn't mean you can defend everything and stop everything, but if you know it's coming, at least you're prepared for it.
How did TJ change things for you as far as super speedway racing when you two got hooked up?
Yeah, we had a couple different outlooks on things. And I think you put two experienced drafting people, right, driver and spotter together, you're going to have good results. And I like that he brought a couple different perspectives to me that I didn't really think of. And I think I was able to do the same for him. And I think that's made us stronger, right? We have just a couple different opinions on how things would work in the draft. And I think now we're on the same page, obviously, but it was fun the first few times watching races with him saying, well, why didn't you do this? And I'm like, well, because of this and this and this. And he goes, well, watch a few laps and you kind of see it develop. And I'm like, oh, I should have done that. You're right. It's just, that's kind of fun to see that happen. We're able to teach each other a couple different things.
Thanks, Joey. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
All right, Joey, thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend on the Daytona road course.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
All right.